Hey, what's up, guys? BJ Dell back with a new weekly art challenge review video. Last week's art challenge word was B, so let's see what you guys came up with. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Like I always say before I start these videos, I wish that I could feature every single person's submission for the week, but the more and more people we get in the group, the harder that is, and I want to keep these videos kind of watchable, not have them, 2 hours long, and this week we had some absolutely killer submissions for the word of the week, which was B. But I only pick about 4 or 5 of them a week, and I don't necessarily pick the most amazing ones or the ones that need the most work. I really just pick the ones that are going to give me the ability to share as much information with you guys as possible. So that's kind of what I look for with the designs. So like I said, 4 or 5 this week, and everybody's designs were so amazing for this B word prompt. The first one we've got today is Michelle, and Michelle said that she figured since the text feature came out, she would play around with it and see what happens. And I absolutely love the font that was used for this. You see the font across Bumblebee, you've got the flowers, you've got the bee, and everything looks really nice. I like the design. She had also said she played around with some different shading techniques on the flowers. So you can see this one looks a little bit different than these over here. Usually I would recommend keeping shading techniques the same across the design, but with this, I think it works since the flowers are a different color and they are, further away from each other. I think it does play pretty decent together. I like the shading here on the B2. It's got like a little bit of fuzziness to it, which I really like. The one thing I would do and add in probably with the B, which maybe you did, I can't really tell here as I zoom in. You might want to add a like a bluish green tint to the wings, which you might have here because this yellow looks a little bit different, but I would go even a little bit further with it. So if you do these wings on a different layer and then add in a I can't do it here obviously on an underneath layer since these are just flat images, but if you add in a color like this and then drop the opacity down, I think it's going to work a lot better. It's not really going to show up that well with this background being the blue, but it will look a lot better with the body itself. So you can see this black here and the yellow is going to look a little bit different. So I'd probably add that in just to give a little bit more oomph to the wings instead of just having them that, the clear see-through almost. And if you do have a color in here, like I said, this yellow looks a little different. The black looks the same, so I'm not too sure, but I would probably just play around with the opacity there. And then the text down here I think is really nice too, just not using the straight text, and looks like you did do some shadows and some highlights, and it does add a lot of depth and dimension to the text. I like the way that you've got everything here overlapping too. One thing I would probably change here, as I look at things, if you guys are here from the merch side of how you found the channel or how you heard of the channel, of course, that merch being merch by Amazon, I always think about things from a thumbnail perspective. So the smallest possible size, and if you kind of zoom all the way out here, you'll see the bumblebee, the text is really lost in the design from a smaller thumbnail perspective. So with that, the reason being is the darker blue is so close to this darker green, especially the way that this pretty much comes directly behind that opening in the U. And over here, I absolutely love how you wrapped the stem here through the opening of that L. It's a really good design choice there. But like I said, once you shrink it down a little bit, it gets totally lost because these colors are so close together. So I would change the colors here. I think they're so close, I'm not really going to be able to do much of a drop on them because it's going to catch too much of the opposite color in there. If I change this green a little bit, it might... Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Change this green a little bit, it might work. Maybe. Come on. Try this again. So change the green here. Like I said, it's catching, and that's the way too you can tell that they're so close together is because that's catching so easy on that blue color. We'll try this and see. Yeah, it's really close there. I'll see if I can get a different color green here. Try this one and see. That's a little bit better. Fill these other ones in here. Okay. So now if we pull out, you can see that you can actually read the letters across there, and you can tell it says Bumblebee, whereas before it just kind of all jumbled together. You can actually tell that this stem here is coming through that L, which it kind of blended in before. So playing around with the colors, finding good contrasting colors. You don't necessarily even have to go lighter with the green. I just did that so you could see the difference that it would make by changing those colors. Even if you wanted to do like maybe an orange on the Bumblebee lettering, that might work. Just find something that makes it pop out and it won't blend in as well together, and it's going to stand out a little bit better. So it's really one of those things. So until you do it, you're not really going to know what works well together. Of course, you can always use the color wheel and go, directly across. Those are going to be the best contrasting colors, but, it might not work with the design with the other yellows and stuff you have in here. So just play around with it and see. But overall, I absolutely love the design. I loved that you use the text and everything looks really, really good. So keep up the good work, Michelle. Next up, we have Stephanie, and we've got a bunch of first-time submissions too for this video, which makes me super happy. Like I said, the group is growing, so it's cool to see all these new submissions. And this one's from Stephanie. Like I said, this is the first time that she shared the work, and it's absolutely sweet. She says, my first work done in Procreate in over 2 years. So welcome back to the fold, Stephanie. I love to have you aboard the Keep Creating train, and like seeing this. And I think this design is absolutely fabulous, especially for, not doing anything for 2 years in Procreate. So the overall design itself of the bee, I think, is just fantastic. I'm always a big fan of, kind of like dynamic poses, and I like just the swoosh that the overall bee has. You've got a nice, lines here as far as the way that the body and the head goes, a nice perspective. And then it's just got a very dynamic body shape, and I really, really like it. I like the line weight that you've got on the antennas as well. And then the way that the arms or the legs or what have you wrap around here. It's nice to see too that you've got the perspective really in check. So the way that this is set, like I said, you've got the line over here, so this eye is bigger. It's closer to the viewer. This one, the side of it kind of wraps back into the distance, so this eye is bigger than this eye. The antenna here is bigger than this antenna, and everything works really, really well. Love the highlights and shadows that you've done. These work really well. Down here, it might be, I talk about in some of the videos, if you've got differences in colors from, one section to the next, you might want to use 2 different shadow layers. Same thing with highlights. You might want to use 2 different highlight layers because a shadow on one layer is going to look good, or one color is going to look good, and then on the next color might be too dark. And I think that might be what happened here, because this shadow here really blends in to that black line. So I would almost drop the opacity on this down. Like I said, though, if you're really sold on, this color here and the yellow, by dropping the opacity down is going to affect that. So you might want to do 2 separate shadow layers, because obviously this darker color here is going to look a lot different with a shadow than the lighter color. So keep that in mind too. If you've got, the layer abilities on your iPad. I know we've talked about in some of my other videos, some of the lower model iPads, if you're using higher canvas sizes, like if you're using a Merch by Amazon size of the 4500 by 5400, you're only going to get 4 layers. So I know it's kind of hard sometimes to use those extra layers, but if you do have a pro, using, you know, more than the one shadow layer or the one highlight layer can really do a lot of good in your design. And I love the wings over here. I like too that you went with a different line work here. You didn't go in with the actual lines. Looks like you did this on a different layer and drop the opacity on it, and I think that works really, really well with that. And I like this kind of iridescent white work that you've got in through there. I think that works really good. So super happy that you submitted this week. Thanks for sharing. Like I said, for first time in 2 years, super impressed. So great job, Stephanie. Next up is Bill, and Bill's bee is just fantastic. I love the brushes that he used. It really has that dynamic look to it and really just looks like fuzzy and that you can reach out and grab him. I love the eye too. It's got almost like a cuteness to the eye, and the background too is just phenomenal. You've got the blurred background, so you've got kind of a depth of field going on. It almost has like a bokeh look to it, and that is absolutely fantastic. Is it bokeh or bouquet? So anyways, the wings too, I don't know if I would have done the yellow. I might just have gone straight with the white and maybe drop the opacity on there so you had a little bit more of the background coming through. But I love the body so much, and the legs coming down, how they kind of taper off. Like I said, it just looks like you can reach out and grab him, and it's really a good painterly style, and I think it works fantastic. So good job, Bill. As always, I love seeing your work as well, so keep submitting stuff. Next one up is Jose, and this one, I think Jose said this was a quickie 15-minute one, and Jose is an absolutely fantastic artist. This one is one of my favorite ones this week. It's just so good. Even though we only took 15 minutes and it's, you know, a simple design, it's just fantastic. It's truly, you know, a standout. You could see this on any type of merchandise. It has a very just kind of youthful, you know, it almost makes you think like kindergarten, grade school look to it. Something that you could see on, you know, anything, paper plates, children's books, backpacks, and I just love it. You can see here the standout of this really is the brushwork that he used on doing the bee itself and the body. So all this stippling work here and just the kind of almost like a chalk effect here, along with the chalk outline here. I just love the overall look to it. Everything ties in super well. Like I said, when you break it down, it looks like a simple design, but sometimes the most simple designs work. And I know Jose does this for a living. He knows what works, and it really stands out on this. It's just an absolutely fantastic design. Love to have Jose part of the group, and really looking forward to seeing more of the stuff that he posts, because this is just absolutely stellar. I love it so much. So thanks for joining the group, Jose, and thanks for submitting. And last but not least is Fernando, and this was also Fernando's first post as well. Let me pull up and see what Fernando said. He said, first submission, I've got lots of practicing to do. I think this is really good, Fernando. The bee itself is fantastic. You've got a really good job and a good grasp on getting the highlights. So the bee actually does look shiny. It has some volume and some weight to it, and it really has, you know, kind of that three-dimensional look to it. The wings here, I'd maybe make them a little bit more see-through, but the wings do work. I like the overall look of everything on the bee. And then the flower here, since you did so much work with the highlights here on the bee, I know you can't do much as far as highlights with you know, petals on a white flower. So I would probably go in here and, you know, just throw in some shadows on there so it does look like it's got a little bit something else done to it, so it's not, you know, totally just plain white. So if you just throw in some shadows, you know, on the edges and the bottoms here, just to kind of add something to it, just because you did so much work on the bee over here, kind of tie them in together so they look like they go together. So just something like this, and then, you know, you could even add some highlights on on the side over here. Just to, like I said, just make it stand out and pop a little bit more like the bee does. But overall, I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad that you decided to submit Fernando. If you guys don't know Fernando, he's big in the Merch by Amazon community as well. Fernando actually just started his own YouTube channel a couple of months ago. It is called South Florida Merch, so check out his channel. I'll put a link in the description. He's got some really cool videos over there that walks you through, honestly, a bunch of different stuff. I know he just put up a new video about Illustrator, so if you guys are in the merch community and want to use Illustrator to do merch, he's got a video on that he just posted, so make sure you pop over to his channel and show him some love as well. So that's it. Those are the 5 bee designs for this week. Once again, thank you everybody for submitting your designs. I love seeing what you guys come up week to week, and I can't wait to see what you do next week. Watch the outro for this week's word. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for watching, and just want to thank everyone for submitting designs this week. I love seeing what you guys create. Speaking of, if you have not yet joined, hop on over to Facebook after this video and join the Keep Creating group over there on Facebook. The link is in the description below. Love to have you guys along for the ride and want to see all the work that you guys are doing as well. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. You can get alerted when I post new videos. So last week's word was bee, and this week, little background, I've been absolutely binge watching like crazy. I just subscribed to Shudder, which is basically like the Netflix of horror, so I've been watching nonstop monster movies and horror anthologies and horror series. So I'm on a big kick right now, and I want to see what you guys can do with the word monster. So this week's word is monster. I know this would probably be better suited for October, closer to Halloween, but hey, it's April, so let's draw some monsters. So let's see what you guys can do. As for me, I can be found online, bjdell.com, as well as on Instagram and Twitter at bjdell. So until next time, keep creating.